Hey guys, it's Mighty or He Almighty, and in today's video, I'll be checking out the Auqa Control Plus from x-raypad. This mousepad is primarily control, it says it right in its name. The reason I like this pad a lot, and generally x-ray pads in general, is because you can put on custom designs onto it. This one, of course, has my logo. Now if we get into the surface of the pad, if I run my hand over it, you should be able to hear that there is a texture onto it. It's not as textury as something like a Venus, but you can definitely feel it when you use DOS skates like I do. But if you're using full-size skates like I have on this mouse, it feels perfectly smooth, and when I press down, it just gets a little bit more controlled. This is, of course, the 3mm version, so it's a little bit harder than something like an Artisan Soft, but a little bit less hard than an Artisan Mid. Comparison over here, I have the Artisan Rated Mid, and if I press down my mouse into this, there's far less drag and far less resistance, but when I press down into here, I can most definitely feel the grinding of the texture of the pad on the bottom of the mouse over here. Going into stitching, and the problem that I have with this custom pad is, if you can see on the edge over here, there's a little white line where the surface of the pad meets the stitching, and it's a little bit faded. It came like that from the manufacturer, and I'll put up a picture of what the company sent me when they finished printing the pad. And that's one of the gripes I have about this. But when I talked to Maiden, he says there's no difference if you get the black and white stitching. There is no fade over it like there is over here. You may also be wondering why I have this pad on top of a SkyPad. Mostly because I like to switch out to my SkyPad a lot, but also this base is rubber, it's not pour on or something very sticky, and I like to use a full-size desk pad as my base layer. So if I do want to use that pad, I have to put on something like a SkyPad underneath it so that this pad can actually stick to it. Once it's on top of my SkyPad, it barely moves at all. I have to do the same thing with an Artisan Mid, where the base just does not stick at all to any cloth surface. Now the most important part of this glide. With DOS skates, it feels very, very fast. It's definitely not on the control end. It's probably closer to a Heiatsu or a Heian. But once you put in full skates like I have on this mouse, it feels a lot more controlled. There's a lot more stopping power and far less glide. These two are completely different. The rating is silky smooth. There's no texture on it. Well, this pad does. The rating is also a speed focused pad. So to compare the two speeds, it's the full skates. A little bit more glide on that than this pad. With this, there's definitely stopping power. Now switching over to the DOS skates, there's also very little stopping power on this pad, and pretty similar to the amount when I go over to the control. So if you want something fast and get a custom design, I strongly recommend this pad, and just put DOS skates on your mouse in a configuration where there's more surface area than just one singular skate. You can see at the bottom I put 5, and at the top I put 2 in each corner. This helps out a lot for the grinding feeling. When I press down into the pad, when I tense up to target switch, I don't feel the coarseness of the pad as much as I would, and only putting DOS skates in the corners and one at the bottom. For this, any slight bit of pressure that I put in the pad, I can most definitely feel through the skates and on my hand. Talking about sleeves, I primarily use the SkyPad sleeve on this pad, and there's very little drag. If there is any, it just folds up the sleeve and makes it turn a little bit. There isn't a lot of dragging, and it's very usable. While on something like the silky smooth Raiden, there's no drag at all. It's like using a sleeve on a SkyPad. I would compare this to something slower, like a Radar, but unfortunately I have that pad over at my friend's house right now, so I won't be able to make a full comparison video between very specific pads and pads that are close to this one. That's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.